Welcome back to the Old Bull and Young Calf Boston Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Matt, and I'm here with my dad, Steve. We're going to go through really quick this week, hit you with a bunch of information. My dad's going to tell you the 5 things that we're going to touch on today. Dad, you want to let him know?
Yeah, so we're going to hit on game one, obviously, our opinions on the biggest surprise, the biggest appointment of the game as well. Also, touch on moral victory, where we stand on that. Number two, the Fakers contenders after week one. Is it too early to give an opinion on our conference rivals? We're going to touch on that. Number three is the Dolphins preview coming up. I did some film research and I have some takes on that as well. We're going to go over number four, our betting expert, find out how we did last week and who his bet is this week. And of course, we like to end the show with number five, our fun little segment of what we feel has a 90% chance of happening in the Patriots next game, 50% chance, and a 10% chance. So start us off, Matt.
Yep. And we kept the receipts, so we're going to see how good we did last week. All right. As the old saying goes, age before beauty. So this week, we're going to have my dad take the lead, and he's going to hit us with number one, game opinion. What do you got, Dad?
Oh, this game. So disappointing. I didn't think they had much of a chance, and they could have buried so many things that people like to talk about. Mac Jones never won a game where the other opponent, scored 25 points. Mac Jones has never let him back against a playoff team to a victory, and they had so many chances. And this isn't on Mac. I mean, there's so many variables that happened that went into them not coming back and winning that game. Obviously, Booty, the rookie receiver, not getting his feet down. Jones makes a perfect pass, clutch play on the verge of scoring. And then the offensive line is amazing all game, surprisingly really good. I mean, not perfect. It's not like Jones had a clean pocket the whole game, but they were surprisingly good. And then all of a sudden, at the end of the game, they clearly ran out of gas and gave up the 2 sacks at the worst possible times. I almost put that a little bit on Belichick. I mean, every one of those five offensive linemen played 100% of the snaps. I mean, you couldn't get a little bit of a rotation with the guys who had basically no training camp. That right tackle Anderson, he didn't play one snap. He didn't practice all offseason, and he clearly ran out of gas. The rookies, they're not used to, you know, the grind of training camp. I just felt like they should have got someone in, but so many encouraging things. The defense was as good as I thought they'd be. Boy, they put Gonzalez on a complete island against those two receivers, and man, did he perform well. Obviously, he gave up some catches, but they gave him no help almost, and he was awesome in this game. So it's a shame that a lot of my defensive prediction was based on Jack Jones being on this team. Too bad he wasn't because Miles Bryant and Marcus Jones, I saw way too much of them, and they were not that great. They were not good. And the shameful thing is, Jonathan Jones would slide down to that spot if Jack Jones was playing. So, when Jack Jones comes back, I'm really expecting big things from this
Yeah.
defense, like I predicted at the beginning of the year.
Yep.
So go
Yeah,
ahead, Matt.
and yeah, and in my opinion, it was probably very similar. It really does suck that we were so close, and we left some points on the table 2 times. Booty just couldn't get to 2 feet down. He just made the college catch.
Yeah.
It's a killer. Um, but overall, I was pretty happy with the game. Watching it back, I didn't get sick to my stomach. But there's a couple stats that are really good for me, and that's number one. We had 3 drives over 60 yards that ended in a touchdown. That did not happen at all last season, and that actually happened for the first time. It took us 3 games for that to happen combined last year, and it's a really good sign for our offense. And it was pretty reassuring. And another really interesting stat, and it just kind of reminds me of Tom Brady, but Mac Jones went over 50 attempts, and Tom Brady's like the king of winning games with 50 attempts, and Mac Jones couldn't pull it
Mm.
off, but it's another thing that he could have kind of really crested a mountain for. But I am looking forward to the next few games. I'm pretty happy about it. I'm much happier than I thought I would be when we last talked. So biggest surprise, Dad. What do you got for your biggest surprise of that game?
Biggest surprise was Kendrick Bourne. How awesome he was. He looked like a number one receiver, and you know, I was gonna go with Gonzalez, but uh, I don't know. I kind of expected him. to fare well in his first game. And he still gave up some plays. He wasn't shut down Darrelle Revis corner, but yeah, I was surprised at how effective Kendrick Bourne was.
Yeah. And I think you touched on my biggest surprise, and that was Gonzalez. I mean, I know we all thought he was going to be good. I know he gave up some plays, but he was there on all of them. And I don't know if there's a better wide receiver duo in the league. You can say Tyreek Hill and Waddle are up there, but that wide receiving duo, compared with that quarterback, um, is pretty impressive for him. And a lot of times I saw him by himself. It was not too much safety help on some of the throws
Yeah.
that he. So Gonzalez was certainly my biggest surprise. What about your biggest disappointment?
Uh, Plot twist. Biggest disappointment, Kendrick Bourne. Because
Oh,
I know that wasn't a great throw by Mac on that pick six, but he got enough of his hands on it. You
yeah,
have to catch that ball. You can't. It didn't go off the very top of his fingertips. He got enough of both hands on that ball, and it's like a cardinal sin to ever let a ball go
tip.
up in the air after it hits
Yeah,
your hands. Like that was such a huge play. You have to catch that damn ball. And then he had another huge drop on a third and long over the middle. It wasn't an easy catch, but Mac Jones got buried, absolutely buried on it. He hung in the pocket. He made a perfect throw, and he dove, and it was right in his chest, and he just dropped it. And that was
yeah,
one of the drives that just stalled. The Patriots would have had a first down at the Eagles' 30-yard line, and it's just
yeah,
he's got to make those plays. And then we got lucky on that Henry touchdown catch because I feel like Kendrick Bourne ran the wrong route. He ran the exact same route as Henry did, and he was so close to Henry that we're lucky that his defender didn't see the
yeah,
ball in the air and also try to defend Henry.
yeah.
I just feel like he definitely ran the wrong route there. So, God, he's so talented. I just wish he'd get his crap together. But
No,
anyway, go ahead.
that is an incredible turn of events. That's like Sixth Sense level, like your biggest disappointment and surprise. But mine is a bit simpler, and that's Juju Smith-Schuster. I was really hoping the
Oof.
knee, the knee stuff coming out of camp was overblown and just bad sources, but he was on the field for less snaps than Booty. It, I don't. He's already on a pitch count, and he's supposed to be our yards after catch wide receiver, and he really didn't flash in this game. So he's definitely my biggest disappointment. So next up is a moral victory. There's been a lot of talk on this, and this is kind of where we're at now, the post Tom Brady era. Do moral victories exist, Dad? Number one, and was this a moral victory if they exist? What do you got?
Yeah, moral victories are for complete losers. All right, pathetic people that don't live in Boston. With that being said, after the last 3 years of garbage offense I've seen, I am taking the moral victory. I will absolutely take it.
Yeah,
I saw so much hope with this offense with Bill O'Brien here. Usually the quarterback takes a step back sophomore year because the league has a book on him and they start and usually year three is the jump. And now I have tremendous hope that this will be a jump year.
yep,
And I thought they're going to get buried. And the way that the offense looked at times, it just shows you they get that offensive line intact and they get him some time and get Parker back on the field, who I'm not a huge fan of, but good enough. Man, I'll
yeah.
take it. I'll take the moral victory. You?
Yeah. Yeah, and who has two thumbs and is a big loser because he loves this moral victory? This guy right here. I am so relieved. There's a weight off my chest when it comes to our offense. I mentioned the stat earlier about, 3 drives over 60 yards. It felt like we actually had a plan going into these games. And this is only game one against a stout defense and a very strong offensive line. Our defense showed up against amazing weapons, a really good offensive line, as you touched on last week, and they made an impact. Um, I think this is certainly a moral victory. I don't want my players to think this is a moral victory. I don't want the Patriots to think this is a moral victory. But as a
No.
fan, like you
Yeah.
said, after the past 3 years, oh man, this game was a relief. It was a loss, but it was a relief. So I'm glad we were on the same page there. I thought you were about to rip me because I was going to be like, well, you know, but here we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So next up, number two, the second thing we're going to hit on is the fakers and contenders after week one. There were certainly some surprises week one, good and bad. So we're going to touch on that. So I'm going to share my screen here and I'll do a transition right here.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say really quick. Um, I don't know. Does this give us hope that some teams have taken a step back? Kansas City lost. It's tough to maintain that drive after winning a Super Bowl. Buffalo lost. No Aaron Rodgers the whole game. And the Bengals, they look like trash. I mean, generally, teams are not the Patriots during that 20-year stretch, right? Like Brady was just a lunatic. He was able to maintain that motivation and motivate other people around him. And that's why the Patriots had very
Yep.
few lapses. Nobody's Tom Brady, nobody's the Patriots, nobody's and Bill Belichick, I'm sure was a great motivator at those times too. These teams, they probably just, they didn't have much of a training camp, nobody practiced, and you know, they just kind of know they're going to be there at the end. So I'm not taking this as there's hope. I don't have any visions of the Patriots getting the number one seed because everyone's taking a step back. I still think that the Chiefs, the Bengals, the Bills, they're going to be there. They're going to be the top three teams, and you know we'll see from here. You,
Yeah.
Matt?
So I completely agree with you, and I'm really curious, just yes or no here. The Chiefs, are they fakers this year or are they contenders?
They're contenders.
They're
They'll
contenders.
get a
Yeah.
receiver.
Yeah.
They'll get Kelsey back. They'll get Jones back on defense, and they'll be there. They just
Yeah.
will.
All
Mahomes is
right.
too talented,
Yeah.
and
I
and we
think
got lucky with Rodgers being out. So that should be two wins. And the Dolphins, I'll touch on them because I did
yeah.
some film work on them, but go ahead.
Yeah, and I think totally agree with you. I think they're contenders. The Bengals, I think they are still contenders. I think they're going to contend this year. Do you agree with that?
Oh yeah, the
Yeah.
Bengals will be fine. Trust me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess, some of the week one surprises, and I don't think people expected the Dolphins defense, I'm sorry, offense to be that explosive. Do you consider the Dolphins contenders or fakers?
No, the Dolphins aren't because their defense is, from what I saw, it is so bad.
Yep.
I
All
mean,
right.
I don't, they were counting on Ramsey being there, and neither one was good. The run, but I'll get into that in the
Yeah.
preview. But
Yeah.
I just don't think they are. And then they have to count on Tua being healthy the whole year. So
Yeah.
no, them, uh, you know, the Ravens are. They didn't look great, but I still think they're going to be there. If
High
the
on the Ravens.
Patriots
Yeah.
get into the playoffs, yeah, it's going to be squeaking into a wild card. That's. I still haven't changed my thought on that.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. I think there were certainly some surprises this week. I don't think the Bills are going to always be that bad. Um, we'll see, I guess, how it goes. I think they're still contenders, but hopefully the Patriots will be contenders, after a few weeks and we revisit this list and they'll be a bit higher up than where they are. Um, so I'm going to get rid of this. We'll go back to our other monitor and then we'll move on to number three. Now, my dad has done extensive research on this game. He actually just finished watching the whole dang thing. So uh, the old bull is going to give you his unfiltered view of what the Dolphins are going to look like against the Patriots.
Well, the first thing I hope Belichick is doing is playing the motivation card because the Patriots are 0-4 against Tua. If I was him, I would be rubbing that in every one of the defensive players' faces all week. I'd have that posted everywhere. The defense has to show up against him. Like I don't know how he has these games against us. Why he's like our kryptonite. That needs to stop. He needs to motivate them. Tua in the first half, he had three throws that the only reason why they were not intercepted is because the Chargers defensive players were clowns who just cannot catch. They were
Yeah,
just terrible throws. He got bailed out with three drops. So that unfortunately goes noticed because of the big numbers. And look for this to take place. Patriots did really no play action passing against the Eagles. That is going to be a factor against the Dolphins because the Dolphins' run defense was absolutely horrid. They gave up almost 300 rushing yards. I think 50 of those yards came on one long run. Otherwise, it was they gave up 10 yards, 4 yards, 12 yards, 7 yards, like constantly. So as long as the Patriots get their two guards back, which is the hope, and Trent Brown's not out, they are going to be able to run the ball. Mac Jones will be under center a lot more in this game, and they're going to get gouged, the Dolphins, with play action. I feel like Bill O'Brien's going to bust that out because he didn't show that at all against the Eagles. And the Dolphins' pass defense was also terrible. Hubert shredded them up also. It was just, unfortunately, the Chargers' defense was just as bad pretty much.
Yep.
And I tell you this, though, Tyreek Hill, you cannot, he is the best receiver in the league right now. He
Wow.
is so unguardable right now. He JC Jackson, they had to take JC Jackson off of him in the first quarter because he was getting roasted by him. And they tried double teaming him, and he was still just getting open. That guy flies. They can't take the same approach. They can't put Gonzalez on an island with him. He will get absolutely toast. But Belichick has had a good track record with slowing him down. So we'll see what he comes up with. But man, that guy is uncoverable right now.
Yeah.
But
And
that's
to
that's that's my preview.
Yep, and to touch on, just give some stats what my dad just said. Eckler had a 7.3 yards per carry, 16 carries,
Oof.
117 yards, and Joshua Kelly, don't know who Josh Kelly is, but he managed to get a 5.7 yards per carry on this Dolphins defense. And yeah, I think Bill O'Brien's going to have a playbook on these guys and kind of light them up. And yeah, Tyreek Hill, I mean, we usually defend him well, so hopefully we can come up with something. I hopefully we double him. I wonder, is this the game where we feel the loss of Devin McCourty? Is Devin McCourty's presence in that backfield um, gonna, or deep gonna be felt here? Because they really didn't feel it much game one. I don't know about you, but they really had no big plays.
No.
The Eagles
No.
average, I think Eagles had like the most 20-yard plus plays of any team in history last year. And I think they had one this game. So we
Yeah,
didn't we
they were
didn't
good.
really didn't hurt without Devin.
Nope.
So
And Peppers broke up a deep pass late by him, and so I don't think we're gonna miss McCourty. I just don't.
yeah.
And oh, by the way, my backup disappointed player was actually Duggar, completely
Oh
invisible.
yeah. That was really strange this year. This is a contract year
I
for him too.
Duggar was invisible,
He
and
missed some
hopefully
tackles, I
that was
think.
just one of those games. So we'll see.
Yeah.
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 So
All
we'll
right. All
monitor
right.
that. But anyway, let's get to the last two things, the short fun things, almost wrapped up.
Yep. Number 4. This is where everybody makes their money, and you write us in and give us a share. So last week, Wilgas Basement Bets had the Browns over the Bengals at home in Cleveland, and the Browns won, and that blew us away. We thought he was crazy for suggesting
Easily.
this. Yeah,
Yeah, we did.
but that's why we leave it
Yeah.
to the experts because he freaking nailed it. The Browns smoked him, and he made a lot of money. So if you want to make a lot of money, you're gonna really like his bet here. He has the Bengals. He's going back to the Bengals, and he thinks the Bengals are actually gonna win, bounce back at home against the Ravens. They have a -4 line. He's going to be putting his money on that. So if you want to make some money this weekend, just like him, you'll put your bet on the Bengals. I think even tonight. Now you can check the receipts on this, everybody. But as this game's going on, he has the Vikings at 7.5. He likes the Vikings, and he's looking pretty good right now. So if you want to make some money this weekend, hit that Bengals over the Rams -4.
All
All right.
right.
Number five. We're going to do the 90-50-10. And before we get into our new 90-50-10 for the upcoming game, I guess we can touch on how we did last week. So,
Oh, you
uh,
guess we can't. Why? Why, Matt?
yeah,
Why do you
because
want
I
him?
think it's
Because you
really
won?
important. I think it's important we keep the receipts and we go over this stuff. So
Yeah.
for the 90, I had Judon 1.5 sacks. I did not make that, but I was so close, so close. I believe there was
You
a
were.
penalty that got called back on Judon having 2 sacks. Um, he ended up with one. Uh, I also had Mac Jones having 200 yards and a touchdown, and he did that easily. And again, that kind of leads into our hope for the season. And then finally, my 10% was us winning. and I think I was right about that. That really did not win. So, Dad, do you want to read off yours? Do you have yours with you? Do you see them?
Oh, how I lost?
Yeah. Do you want to read yours? Your
Yeah,
90.
my
Okay.
mines were terrible. So my 10% chance of happening was, oh God, what was it?
That was the hold under 14 points, and you almost had that. I think.
That was the closest thing I had. If the Patriots don't have two turnovers, I actually win that
Yeah.
because that's where 13 of their points came from. You take away those 13 points, the defense only gave up 12 points, four field goals on actual drives. The Mac Jones pick six, thanks to Kendrick Bourne, and then Zeke Elliott fumbling, giving the ball on 20 something yard line. So I actually almost came close to that. My 50%, I did not come close. Ramondre Stevenson getting 100 yards receiving and rushing total. He just did not have a good. There was no room for him with that offensive line. I should have put more thought into that. It was a stupid Steve moment. And the 90% one, Mac Jones, 3 sacks or more. He only got sacked twice. The offensive line surprised me there. Unfortunately, those 2 sacks were at
When
the
it mattered
worst
most. Yeah.
possible time. Oh God, it was
Yeah.
brutal. Yeah.
But
So
um, it was. If you're going to be wrong, I'm sure you were glad you were wrong on that 90. It was nice to see a somewhat clean
absolutely.
pocket. So now we're going into this
Yeah.
week, our 90, 50, 10. Dad, do you have your 90 for the week?
Yeah. Break out the boats and hose because the Patriots are going to rush for over 150 yards this week. I'm going to guarantee that between Zeke Elliott and Stevenson. After what I saw, that run defense is awful.
Awful.
And, you know, barring all five of the Patriots backups are playing, like Trent Brown's out, Strange is out, and Onwenu doesn't play, there is no way they don't get at least 150 yards rushing this game.
Nice. Well, my 90 is also on the offensive side. I'm gonna ride the Mac Daddy Jones train. I'm gonna say he's a 90% chance he gets 250 yards and he gets 2 touchdowns. So I'm upping my 50 from last week. He's made me a believer, and he's now facing a much worse defense. Hopefully with at least some semblance of an offensive line. I saw Cole Strange and Andrews were practicing this week, so hopefully they're there. So that's my 90. What do you got for your 50, Dad?
Look at my boy growing a little bit of a pair there. Finally
Yeah,
going up 200
yeah.
yards last week. Come on, give me a
Come on,
break.
you didn't think?
Anyway,
Come on, get out of here.
well, I wouldn't have bet that either because the Eagles defense is good. Anyway, so my 50% one is uh, 0 picks for Mac Jones. I think there's a good chance he wouldn't have, he wouldn't have had one
Yeah,
last week. If Bourne, there was one ball that people are saying should have been an interception, but that was off a quick screen pass where you're asking the defensive lineman to catch a ball like 5 feet away from him when it's
yeah.
just been that's I don't count that as should have been intercepted because it hit the guy in the hand. No way. So I think actually the ball control was really good last week and he doesn't throw any picks this week.
Nice, nice. My 50 is leaning on what you said earlier about how we guard Tyreek Hill, and I can't stand Tyreek Hill as a person. I think he's a scumbag. Also, I don't want to see him succeed, and I think we have the weapons to prevent him to succeed from succeeding. So my 50 is Tyreek Hill under 100 receiving yards. I think they force Waddle to beat us. I'm not saying we're going to be able to hold Waddle and Tyreek under 100, but I think we're going to hold Tyreek under 100 receiving yards. It Listen, you can hate it all you want, but you wanted me to grow a pair and take a risk. I think that's a risk. So yeah, that's my 50. You got
I'm
something to
not
say about it?
reacting like this
Yeah.
because of that. I'm not because this is literally my 10%. Maybe we should start going over these. My 10% thing happening is that the Patriots hold Tyreek Hill to under
Okay.
100 yards. That is
Oh,
my
no faith.
10%. I don't see it happen. He's getting at least 100 yards. You will see, Matt, he is like,
Listen,
I can't stand that puke either. I can't stand him, but oh my goodness. He just looks like he's on a different speed than everyone else. So that's my 10%.
all
So
right, listen,
we'll see how that works out.
your 90 for the season was them to be like a top 3 defense. So I'm on your side
Mhm.
here, and here you are. So, but here's my 10. My 10 is also on your defensive side. I'm saying we're gonna get Tua to give up 2 interceptions. I think 2 interceptions for Tua is 10% chance. Um, I I know, like you said, a lot of people dropped it. I know he sucks, but
You mean
uh,
two or more?
two
Two
or
or
more,
more?
2 or more. Yeah. I don't.
Oh,
Yeah. I
hmm.
mean, I guess like I could say there's a 90% chance of it happening, but interceptions are hard to come by. Um, so yeah, I think 2 interceptions for Tua this game is my 10% chance. If we force him to throw 2 interceptions, that's really good for us, and it should lead to a Patriots win. But that's my 10. And I think
All right.
that's basically the podcast. I hope everybody had a good time. And we'll see you next week with hopefully some more receipts on how good my 90-50-10 went and how poorly my dad's 90-50-10 went. But all right. Anything to say, Dad?
No, good night, everyone.
All right. See you later.